Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Market in the Morning. I'm your host, Kevin Dubrisky. Now, normally Tuesdays we have Nilabh on with us, but today we're running it solo. We're still going to give you guys some great analysis. We'll cover some technicals, of course, some fundamentals. We're going to use the best fundamental tool in the game to break it down, Market AI. So, guys, smash that like button if you're ready. I know I am. Let's make some money today. Run up that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get the party started. Beautiful, wonderful, awesome, guys. Let's pull up the chart, see what markets have been up to. Now, there's been a lot going on, a lot of back and forth, some bearish price action, but more recently, we were met with some strong economic data for the US. So we do want to be aware of that as well. Plus, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there's also a US and India trade deal going on. What's going on, Oz? Good morning, man. Good morning, Oz, Eric. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Drop a good morning in the chat if you're ready to make some money today. We are absolutely killing it. Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope you're all doing well. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. Drop your favorite tickers. Drop a good morning. Let's start with the ES. That is the S&P 500. So for futures traders, it's ES. Guys, if you trade Forex, let me know. What do you trade? So first thing I always want to do when I'm looking at market is just to get a bit of an overall understanding of the actual bias in the market, right? Swing trading, which would be the higher time frame, and then day trading, which again is more of our direct hourly and more of an intraday scale, right? As day traders, I definitely want to know what's going on that day trading time frame. So I see that, look at this. What's really cool, guys, is the annotations. So here we have Trump mineral stockpile announcement sparks rally on, right? Risk on rally. So Trump announced that around, I think it was 8 p.m. What was that? 2 a.m. Eastern, right? This was like middle of the night when Trump was doing one of his notorious tweets in the middle of the night, because why not? And markets rallied off of that, right? We continued higher. Then what happened at 9 a.m., we had our ISM manufacturing. Sorry, that was at 10 a.m. So ISM manufacturing PMI beats consensus. This was one of the biggest beats since 2022. So 52.6 versus 48.5. US manufacturing rebounds from contraction territory. Guys, this is a really big sign for optimism for the economy, right? When we talk about markets, whether it's the S&P or the Nasdaq, or even if we're talking about something like gold, when we have optimism, markets tend to go higher off the optimism. When we have uncertainty and worry, safe havens like gold move higher off of that. So if we are seeing some optimism in markets, we're actually going to take a look at gold too and see how it's reacting. Now, it doesn't go completely inverse. Guys, I don't want you to think, oh, gold must inverse the markets. Absolutely not. We saw last year the S&P, the Nasdaq, gold, they were all making new high after new high after new high. It's a very strong market. And a lot of that had to do with the Fed. And we'll cover the Fed in just a moment and sort of see where the Fed is sort of pivoted. So new orders index surged to 57.1 from 47.7. That's another massive surge, again, showing some strength, right? So signals reduced recession fears and economic strength. So I do want to look for some continuation today on the S&P 500. We have our full chart printed out right here with our most recent annotations. And if we want to hit X, let's also take a look at the high impact. What I love to know and what I have to know as a trader is, has there been any big headlines that could move us higher or lower? Trump's tariff cut sparks relief in India despite scant details. So guys, right here, Fed and FUD all last year. Yeah, man. Yep. So Trump's tariff cuts spark relief, right? Right here, guys. Something I mentioned on recent Market in the Morning episodes is how important it is to look out for headlines regarding tariffs. When Trump adds or threatens new tariffs, it's almost like a strong indication to short the market, similar to a VIX situation. When we hear Trump is backing up on those said tariffs that he just threatened, he says, oh, never mind, tariff relief, markets. Think of it this way, man. It's called tariff relief. Markets feel that relief. That's a relief bounce, move higher off that. So 10 minutes ago off the tariff relief, Zelensky says Russia disregarded U.S. efforts by attacking Ukraine's energy overnight. Unfortunately, this is a very sad headline in my opinion, how it's just very constant, really not getting anywhere anytime soon with the whole Russia and Ukraine thing. However, whenever there's good news or bad news, it still affects gold. So even though it doesn't seem to be getting anywhere, we still have to keep an eye out for those headlines, guys. Rise in productivity suggests firms can bear higher input costs without pressure to raise prices. Let's see. So again, it's important as traders to run through these headlines when you use market, so we can sort of get an understanding on what markets are trading on right now. Let's see. Fed monetary policy is too tight. Indian Trade Ministry source, India US too soon signed framework trade pact as signed by other US trading partners. So nothing too major. You know, a lot within this past hour regarding Ukraine and the India and US deal. So we're just going to stay patient on that. And what we'll do is I'm going to keep my high impacts up. So I always keep my high impacts up when I'm trading, right? Because I want to know if I hear that little noise that goes off, then I know, hey, listen, we just got a big headline. I got to check that because one headline can move markets, guys. It's all it takes. So, guys, what is helping the S&P? S&P dipped slightly from 70.15 amid ongoing U.S.-India trade optimism, boosting export sectors, reinforced by SpaceX XAI deal. Did you guys happen to see that? SpaceX and XAI deal and strong ISM data. So I believe, what was it? SpaceX acquired XAI for 250 million or something crazy like that. See if we can find it real quick. SpaceX XAI. Yep. Pretty big, pretty big. And they were set to IPO this year too. So the transaction value SpaceX at 1 trillion, XAI at 250 billion, according to a person familiar with the matter. So again, these are just things that we want to be able to keep an eye on and have a bit of an umbrella understanding. And that's what Mark gives us on a silver platter. The SpaceX and XAI, that wasn't on my mind this morning. I heard about it last night, but it's not something that's sticking with me. But with market, if I want to know any or all of my fundamentals, you could just wake up and go over market and know what's going on. Hawkish Fed signals from Bostic and Warsh, RBA hike, cap gains, while French CPI undershoot adds mild ECB dovish pressure. Geopolitical risk from Ukraine persists, but market resilience near record highs. So just like we mentioned before, guys, the geopolitical risk from Ukraine sometimes holds us back, but only if we really get a big headline on it. It's very back and forth. Russia didn't listen. They attacked again. They'd attacked again. It's unfortunate, but we have to keep an eye on the headlines. ISM PMI manufacturing, like we mentioned, beat. New orders index surged extremely strong. U.S. manufacturing rebounds strong. Yo, good morning, Nick. What's going on, bro? Let's take a look at our economic calendar. What's going on today? It is about 8:30. We see that today is Tuesday, we have JOLTS today, job openings, guys. So this signals labor market tightness and wage pressure. It influences the Fed employment mandate assessment and indicates economic growth sustainability trends, right? So JOLTS is a bit of an insight, bit of an in-depth on how job openings are doing, right? Are people constantly hiring? Are people looking to get jobs? But we have to keep an eye on it. Higher reading above 7.8 would normally signal tight labor market supporting hawkish Fed stance. But current political pressure makes traditional relationships uncertain. So there, right there, guys, there's our key word, uncertain. Keep an eye on gold. Hope all is well, Nick. Appreciate you, bro. Absolutely. Guys, make sure you run that like and subscribe button up. We do market in the morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays, guys, giving you guys the best and the most insightful economic data, fundamental breakdown, and we are going to go over some key levels and trade setups for you guys as well. So really great stuff there. Appreciate you all for joining in. And what's great too, guys, so take a look. This is JOLTS. This comes out at 10 a.m. today, so in about an hour and a half. We see that historically for the past 2 years, it's been on a pretty strong decline, right? So because we've been declining, we want to keep an eye. Does it want to hold that trend? Or at some point, is JOLTS going to turn around as well? Now, unfortunately, JOLTS is job openings, and it doesn't have well, it does have an extreme connection to our economics and everything that's going on in the world. Now, we have to remember AI is so big, it's replacing tons and tons of jobs. We have yet to see that turnaround where AI, instead of taking or replacing jobs, creates jobs, right? There has to be that turnaround where we're like, hey, listen, AI made all these industries easier. We're able to accomplish all of this in a matter of this amount of time. What else can we do with it? What else can we do to provide the working man an income with AI to really accomplish the most of the most? Other than that, guys, Jolts was pretty much it. Tomorrow, we do have some nothing. These are not important towards the market. These do not give a major impact. ADP national employment, this is a bit of a big one. This is the private sector. So higher ADP over 47 strengthens the USD. Now, if it strengthens the USD, that's going to cause weakness on gold, right? So if we're looking at it impacting a currency, we know the US dollar tends to go inverse of gold. So strengthens USD via hawkish Fed bets. So if we're higher than expected tomorrow, that would be more hawkish. Now, guys, let's take a look at the Fed Watch tool. We mentioned this earlier. Now, I'm looking at March. The current is only 8.9% that we actually cut rates by March. Now, we can look at compare, and I like to look at compare because it gives me some insight into how things have been developing. And as we see, at some point, we were looking at a 44% chance of that rate cut by March, right? So this was just January 2nd, just the beginning of last month. We were looking at a 44% chance that we'd either have the cut in January last month, which we didn't, or in March, which now look at this, guys. We went from 44 to 16 to 10, all the way down to 8. We're getting more and more and more hawkish as the days go on and as the data comes in. And that's also why it's important to keep an eye on economic data and use a tool like Market, because it gives you insight almost ahead of what the Fed's going to say, right? Market tells you not only the data and how it comes out, but it tells you what it impacts, how it impacts. Is it more hawkish? Is it more dovish before it even happens, guys? So big W's to Market. That is absolutely amazing. Let's take a quick look now and see if we have any key levels. You guys want to check over some levels on the S&P 500? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's start with I always like to start with the daily myself, just to check out the daily time frame, mark out previous day high, previous day low, and get a little bit of an understanding of where we are in regards to that. Have we broken previous day high and we should look for continuation? Are we within that range and we should look for a bit more of a scalp? Or are we breaking lower and we should again look for continuation? Now, I do see we broke previous day high, but what do we note right away, guys? This is a major area of resistance right here. Markets have rejected this area. We could even pull it back even further. Multiple times we drag that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Even now, yesterday is when we came into it, right? Yesterday we found strength, man. We went from lows to highs, 150 points on the S&P 500. That is a major move. 613 ticks or pips, however you want to refer it. Huge move, right? Now, this was driven by those headlines we mentioned earlier. I'm going to show you one more time. That was driven by let's see, I'll show you the minerals. Oh, actually, I don't even need to pull it up here, guys. That's one of my favorite features of Market, man, is got to be this annotation, right? So again, Trump mineral stockpile announced sparks rally. So that was the first news that came out that gave us some optimism. Then ISM manufacturing surging to a 3.5-year high, driving the rally even further. So we have strong economic data. We have good fundamentals behind us. Now we need our technicals to start proving forward as well. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I would like to see is this area, this major area of resistance up here. And we could delete this old one because we don't need this anymore. I want to see this area of resistance get broken and use it as support, just like Nilabh would look for, right? We don't look to buy these highs when we're still holding it as resistance. That would be silly. But using the right analysis, having the right fundamentals in our favor, that gives me strong confirmation that, hey, yes, this trade setup right here is most likely going to work out. Or no, this trade setup right here might run into a wall because this report is coming out. So like we know today, guys, we have 10 a.m. as JOLTS. It's not the biggest economic event, but if we have a super big difference in how JOLTS comes out, so I'll show you on our economic calendar. Jolt's job openings forecast is 2.7 million. Prior was 7.15. Minimum is 7.05. Max is 7.40. So if it's on some type of extreme, that's the only time I would look for jolts to truly impact the market. So if we come in way less than 7.05, if we come in at 7 or 6.95, that's going to be an extreme. If we come in at 7.40, 7.50, that's going to be an extreme. And like we can use the brain icon, if we're extreme to the upside, that's very bullish on the US dollar, and that would be bearish on gold. If it's bearish to the downside, that's bearish on the dollar, bullish on gold. So that's our one economic event we're looking at. And again, it will impact the ES and NQ as well. So we could look to see 10 o'clock. Can we get that spike with a bit of a catalyst, or do we stay within this range? Yeah, man, USD CAD, I got you guys. What's great with market, I don't trade Forex myself, but whether you trade it or not, it really just breaks it down so anybody could understand it. And that's probably one of the best parts too, is that you don't need to be a rocket scientist. You don't need a degree. You don't need to study market. You don't need to watch 1,000 YouTube videos to get how it works. It's very simple. So USD CAD stable at $1.37 or 1.37. Barkin hawkish offset by Moran dovish call. Then we could pull up our larger chart, take a look at those annotations. Trump Fed pick Warsh announced, dollar rallies on hawkish expectations. Trump taps Warsh as Fed chair, again, continuation. USD rallies on RBA surprise rate hike, so continuation there. And ISM manufacturing beats expectations, USD strength. So going over this chart right here, and again, guys, I don't trade USD Canadian myself, but just going over these annotations, going over what's recently happening, these are all bullish factors. And we see that there's even follow through with these bullish factors. That is huge right there, guys. Now we could also come down to the day trading on what's impacting. And what this area does is this just gives us a little bit more solidification that, hey, this area is great. This trend is holding. So USD CAD holds flat at $1.37 as Trump, Canada tariff threats, and Warsh Fed nomination support USD, countered by RBA hike boosting commodities and US-India deal easing trade fears. So easing trade fears. Yeah, guys, it's so easy to understand any pair, any futures, any stock, guys, you name it. You could even look at, I had Apple up here as well. We'll finish this real quick first. But guys, you want to long-term invest? Market. You want to day trade? Market. You want to just know what's going on right now? Market. Market will answer any economic or fundamental question you have about what's impacting markets right now. Technicals are great. Supply, demand, support, resistance, ICT, whatever the case may be, but those don't move markets. ICT didn't code the algo. Nobody coded the algorithm. Markets move off of two things: volume and fundamentals. And that volume is driven by the reactions of those fundamentals. So it's important for us as traders, and it's smart. Remember, guys, work smarter, not harder. It's smart of us as traders to have a tool in our pocket, right? To have that asset, to have that weapon in our arsenal that says, boom, here's the fundamentals before markets even reacted. Boom, I'm prepared now. Let's get it. So Trump nominates Warsh for Fed chair, hawkish USD signal, ISM manufacturing, Fed rate expectations declining. So this is everything that's supporting the bias, right? This is fantastic. This looks like a strong supporting. But what's great too with market is it's not just going to, it's not like ChatGPT where you ask it a question and it's like, oh, that's a great question. It's a great thought. No, market is transparent and real. So, okay, this is what's supporting. Well, let's see what could flip it, right? Bank of Canada holds rates, easing cycle pause, stabilized CAD. So it tells you from both narratives which direction could really hold through. If right now we're slightly bullish, this is what's holding us. But what can bring us to a more slightly bearish tone? These catalysts right here. Rising crude oil prices support CAD as energy exporter. S&P Global Manufacturing, 50.4 beats prior, 48.6. Yeah. Yeah, what are we looking at? What do we got? CHF. Oh, where'd it go? CHF. JPY. Got you. Again, another one that me personally, I'm not familiar with, but having this ability, having this tool in our arsenal is amazing. Game changer. I do see we got a little bit of a chart issue on this one. So we'll kick that back to our team and see what's going on. It might have just been because of the price targets. There we go. That's better. So here we go, guys. Let's take a look at this one. This is CHFJPY climbs to 200.42 on US-India trade deal risk on versus ongoing geopolitical risks, right? So that US-India trade deal has really sparked a lot of optimism sort of globally for a lot of different markets. So because we know how strong that is, same thing, guys. We want to keep on our high impact. We could do US 30, bro. Absolutely, man. We want to keep an eye. Our last headline we had about tariffs was Trump's tariff cut sparks relief in India despite scant details. We want to know, does Trump flip this and say, we didn't come to a deal, I'm still going to hit them with tariffs? If that's the case, then we're most likely going to reverse back down. If he comes out and says, we officially did it, we have an official deal, it's signed, we're good, boom, markets are going to be popping confetti and we're going to be moving higher still. But we have to keep an eye on those headlines, guys. Without those headlines, a lot of times too, without a headline, we're not going to break out of that resistance point. We have to see these support and resistance levels, whether you're looking at ES, US 30, NQ, gold, XAU, USD. If you're coming into a strong resistance point on your technicals, that's when we know we have to rely on the fundamentals to break us through that. Because we're not going to break through. Remember, guys, I mentioned markets move on two things: volume and fundamentals. Well, we need volume to break us through resistance. Well, we need fundamentals in order to spark that volume. Very important, guys. Extremely great stuff today. Really killer. CHF JPY. Again, quick little analysis on this. SpaceX acquires XAI in $1.25 trillion deal. Risk on. US-India tariffs, US ISM manufacturing beat. Fed Moran calls for 100 BPS rate cuts this year, which probably not going to happen. So let's take a quick look at US 30, which I do believe is also the Dow, correct? So US 30, same as the Dow, which would be the YM. So here we go. Dow tests 49,616 record as Fed Moran pushes rate cut despite confidence plunge. Guys, I want to show you a few economic events that came out recently. Let's go to our calendar. We're going to go back to last week. So we're covering last week to this week. So we've had a lot of strong economic data for the U.S. ISM manufacturing services, they're coming back real strong. It looks great. But there was one economic event that came back really, really poor recently. Yeah, the Dow, I got you, bro. Absolutely. So let's take a look. I wanted to show you, and that's going to be our, see if we can find it. I believe it was our consumer confidence. Consumer confidence is what I'm looking for right now. We can see consumer confidence right here, guys. Consumer confidence came in way lower, extremely lower than expected. Bearish reaction on the USD. This is, guys, this signals consumer spending trends. So this is the everyday people, everyday Americans. How much confidence do they have in the market, in the economy? Well, it came in at 8.450, guys. That is extremely low. And what's cool too, we come over to market, the headlines, we could look up consumer, and then it'll bring up any headline that has that word in it. So consumer confidence is what I'm looking for, right? And that was a few days ago. Consumer confidence deteriorates to more than 11.5-year low. Guys, that is extremely worrisome, right? That is uncertainty, red flag after red flag. What's going on? Why are people so worried right now? Okay, now that's bearish on the ESNQ. After this, we had that bullish economic data. So we want to be careful. We want to read everything that markets are showing us. Right now, the most latest is more bullish. So guys, taking a look at the Dow, same situation as the ES, where we want to sort of get an idea of that higher time frame swing trade. Then we could come over to our day trade. And let's take a look and see if we have anything marked out. So let's see, RBA rate hike sparks early rally. This was this morning, 3 a.m. Eastern. Actually, that was yesterday, 3 a.m. Eastern. And then we also had Trump announces US-India trade deal, which again drove us higher as well. So at this point, what's cool too, guys, is we can click our recent candle and it's going to give us our candle analysis. And what it's going to do is it's going to break down anything that happened recently or within that candle or time frame. So low volume pre-market consolidates with no clear catalyst. So like I mentioned before, guys, we had bullish catalysts the past couple days other than consumer confidence. But right now, today, we need something to push us further. Right now, we're still sort of lingering off of the optimism from yesterday, but does that have enough strength for continuation? And that's what we're going to find out today. Early U.S. session before major liquidity at 9:30. We know that. Mixed Fed speeches with dovish Moran offset by hawkish Barkin. Now, guys, remember, even though there's a little bit of a wish-wash with the Fed, some are dovish, some are hawkish, that Fed watch is really going to give us some insight, and we see that it's still very low at less than 9% for a Fed rate cut by March 18th. Brazil industrial data missed too, peripheral for U.S. indices. Price chopped. And then what's cool too is it will give you the technical breakdown of that time frame that you clicked. So very cool there. That's the Dow. And same situation where we'll roll down here, see what's affecting the Dow. XUUSD? I think you meant XAUUSD. Absolutely. We got that. That's gold. So guys, myself, I trade futures. That would be GC, but same thing as XAUUSD. It's going to have similar price action. We'll run through the Dow and then we'll cover gold. Guys, any other tickers, please let me know. But absolutely killer episode of Market in the Morning, guys. Appreciate you all for joining. Definitely make sure you run that like button up. If you're here on Twitter, hit that like and subscribe and repost. If you're here on YouTube, appreciate you as well. Definitely hit that like and share button. And yeah, appreciate you all. So Dow edges up 51 points, 49,550. You got it, man. Amid fresh dovish Fed comments from Moran, calls for 100 BPS cuts this year. Now, even though we are a bit more bearish on that Fed watch still, we mentioned headlines, right? Now, if this headline from Moran was very recent, that is going to impact us, right? That's going to give us some type of impact that says, hey, listen, this Fed speaker, they still want rate cuts. Markets are going to react bullishly to that. Offsetting lingering consumer confidence collapse. Remember, we mentioned that earlier, extremely important. U.S. January consumer confidence lowest since 2014. Guys, that is saying something about consumer confidence right now. Oh, my apologies. Got myself playing over there. Fed Moran, Fed monetary policy is too tight. So again, Moran really wants those rate cuts still, but some of these others are staying hawkish. Let's take a quick look at gold, guys, before we wrap up Market in the Morning. Again, appreciate you all for joining. Gold had a major move to the downside, guys. We're talking a practical, almost a correction territory where it sold off from all-time highs around 56.29 all the way down to 44.23. That's over a 20% move on gold to the downside. But what moved it? Well, if you didn't see my short video that I put out yesterday on gold, which you should, guys, go follow me on Instagram is @tradingwithkev. Go follow all of our social medias, guys, is @market, MRKT _AI. And if you do want to get started with this platform, go to marketedge.ai, use discount code KEV, and you save 10%. Really great platform. Recommend every day trader use it. There's really no reason not to, as it helps you see some insight and have a clear bias, right? Not something where it's like, Oh, well, we created a higher high and a higher low. No, why did we create that? Technicals don't matter if there are no fundamentals backing it. So right over here, strong factory odds beat reducing safe haven bid right here. First sign of weakness. Gold crashes 5.62% on US factory orders beat. Again, another big move from that factory beat, continuing lower. That was the first leg we had from 5,600 all the way down to 5,135, over a 500-point drop on gold in this one day. And if we're looking at this, is an hourly time frame. This is one candle right here. We pulled back a little bit. We did end up continuing. Now, what is happening over here? Well, gold plunges on Trump Warsh Fed chair pick. He's a bit more hawkish. We know gold did like a more dovish stance because it could add inflation when we cut rates. Rally on Trump mineral stockpile. So again, guys, here's that news of the mineral stockpile, sort of Trump's way of getting back at China and Russia, because China and Russia have a very large mineral supply, right? So US wants to try to compete. Of course, we're going to buy back and try to stay ahead with that. And then, of course, afterwards, we had Trump-India trade deal announcement. Gold did end up rallying a little. It actually, where are we? Gold, India. We pulled back a little bit from there. Now, remember, guys, gold is something that likes to, yeah, man, no more pattern trading. Pattern trading, it's okay, but you have to make sure your bias is along with the fundamentals, man. Any technical support, resistance, supply, demand, fair value gaps, if you have that right bias because of your fundamental assets and because of your fundamental tools, then they probably have a better chance of working out. But if you're looking at ES, which is way more bullish, and you're like, oh, well, here's a bearish fair value gap, well, most likely that's not going to work. But if you have a bullish fair value gap, great. Guess what? That one has a bit more strength to it, not because of anything different, but because you are going off of the fundamental analysis, right? Bias is always huge when it comes to trading because it's going to make or break the difference between if you're just taking a small scalp that day or you're really trying to trade that full move. Awesome, guys. Awesome, awesome. Really great stuff. So let's go back to gold. And now what I want to do is I want to click this level on gold because right now we're back in that pullback area. And we're really going to have to clear above about 49.75 again. So let's click this candle and see what's moving gold lately. Guys, if you are here on Twitter, don't forget follow us here on Twitter as well. Is at market_AI. If you do want to follow me on Twitter as well, it's at trade with Kev. My Instagram is trading with Kev. Twitter is trade with Kev. So unclear catalysts, minor recovery, and thin early US session. Again, we're looking at gold right now. Part of broader gold rebound after prior sharp sell-off. Dovish Fed Moran comments earlier reduced tightening fears. Barkin speech at candle open heightened inflation persistence. Low volatility, thin liquidity, pre-market hours. So again, not much going on gold in the pre-market. We have sort of just been making our way higher. And what's super cool too, guys, is you could click any candle and what it's going to do, like let's click this one that we see has some type of annotation. It's going to give you that move. Then it's also going to give you the most relevant news. So here's all the headlines or any relevant headlines that came out during that time frame. So extremely helpful there, and any relevant economic events. So really cool, guys. No better platform than market. Let's take a quick look at what's impacting and what could support or go against our bias on gold. And then, guys, I think we're ready to trade today. Absolutely killer. So gold extends slip below 49.42 amid ongoing U.S.-India trade optimism, boosting risk assets and rupee surge. New Fed Governor Moran calls policy too tight, needing 100 BPS cuts, challenging hawkish Warsh narrative. Now, Warsh would be the next Fed chairman. He's going to have a bit more say than any of the other Feds. Just to keep that in mind. Ukraine energy attack and Iran tensions provide counter safe haven bid, while RBA hike supports USD. So bearish tilt holds, but Fed dovish introduces volatility ahead of Bowman Barkin speeches. So what supports the bearish bias on gold if we did want to continue bearish? First, let's take a quick look at the chart. See if we can pop that open. And I'm even gonna remove the drawings for a second here. So look, let's check this out. GC, different contract, GCJ, fresh chart. And what do we see, guys? We see a very clear downtrend. Like I said, over 20% of the downside on that move. But we have to remember we've had a major bull run. Wow, that's crazy, man. This one day right here pulled us back over 17%. I'm sorry, 2 days in a row, 17% pulled us all the way back to, wow, that is like, what's that? January lows. So it wiped out over a month of profits within just 1 to 2 days of trading on gold. So after a large wipeout like that, I'm sure many of you have heard the term of a liquidity sweep before. Well, a liquidity sweep doesn't have to be a small time frame 5-minute sweep, a 15-minute sweep. It's really also referring to when these large orders, all the people that were buying, they were buying over here. Oh, look at that. They were buying over here. They were buying over here. Anybody buying on this whole leg up, once we sold off, all of those people got stopped out. You want to talk about liquidity? Look at the volume too. We see that volume increased. Look at this mass amount of volume. When we see large volume and large selling, that large volume is telling us that this selling is panic selling. Panic selling basically means people are exiting their position out of fear. That increases volume and usually does help us to see some continuation or a reversal. As stupid as it sounds, we're either going up or we're going down, but we're most likely not just going to sit right here. If we're going to reverse, we're going to come down and we're just going to continue that trend back higher. This was a major sweep. Like I said, all those people getting in long positions this past month, even people, guys, we have to think of it as well, that people that weren't, let's look at our replay mode for a moment here. Select bar. People that were buying gold this whole rally right here. They're buying it and they're moving their stop loss. They're buying, moving their stop loss, buying, moving their stop loss, moving their stop loss, moving their stop loss. So months and months of volume picking up, picking up, picking up. They move their stop loss. And now what happens? Oh, we've rallied over 700 points from here. My stop loss is here. I'm great. Let's keep running. What happens? Oh, okay, boom, we're still going. And then completely wiped out. Completely wiped out. So again, all those people buying, all those people moving up their stop loss, even people who have been invested in gold for a long time this past year, they are getting stopped out from this massive pullback. They went from over 98% profit to just 60% profit. So it is important too in a long term, in a higher time frame sense, to really capitalize. And if you are a swing trader, take profit into strength, right? We don't want to be the ones that get stopped out on a major pullback. We want to be able to capitalize at key psychological levels and with into strength. So guys, really great episode of Market in the Morning today. I appreciate you all for joining. Shout out to Market for being the best fundamental tool out there. We had one more headline: Indian rupee and stocks soar in relief rally after U.S. trade deal. So guys, I'm going to leave you on that. This is our last headline that shows us some optimism into the markets. We'll be looking for longs today. Guys, crazy moves. Hit that like and subscribe button. Market in the Morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will see you guys later. Have a great day. Happy trading and stay green.